It's midday in Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television at the global headquarters in Lagos. I am Ayotunde Balogun. First, we bring you the highlights. Federal High Court Abuja disqualifies former Minister of State for Petroleum and All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in the November 11th election in Bayelsa State, Mr. Tinubu Silva. Former president of Nigerian Bar Association declares intention to compete for the governorship ticket of the Labour Party, as well as win the forthcoming 2024 governorship election in Edo State. Plus, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has asked women to redouble their efforts in reshaping Nigeria while addressing societal ills. Welcome again to the program. Barely 1 month to the governorship election in Bayelsa State, Justice Donatus Okorowo of the Federal High Court Abuja has disqualified the Bayelsa State All Progressives Congress candidate in the November 11th governorship election, Mr. Tinubu Silva. Justice Okorowo ruled that Mr. Silva, having been sworn in twice and ruled for 5 years as governor of the state, would breach the 1999 Constitution as amended if allowed to contest again. The judge also declared that Mr. Tinubu Silva was not qualified to run in the November poll because if he wins and is sworn in, he would spend more than 8 years in office as governor of the state. While citing the case of Marwa vs. Nyako at the Supreme Court, Justice Okorowo notes that the drafters of the country's constitution stated that nobody should be voted for as governor more than twice, and that the parties to the suit agreed that Tinubu Silva was voted into office 2 times. He further adds that the Supreme Court ruled in the case of Marwa vs. Nyako that nobody can expand the constitution or its scope. So, if Tinubu Silva is allowed to contest the next election, it means a person can contest as many times as he wishes. The suit was filed on June the 13th this year by Mr. Deme Kolomo, a member of the All Progressives Congress. Nigeria's former president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, says the Economic Community of West African States, that's ECOWAS, and the European Union, the EU, are all monitoring the election in Liberia to ensure a free, fair and credible poll. Speaking during his visit to one of the polling units around the George Ware's polling unit, Mr. Jonathan explained that peace is uppermost on the minds of Liberians as they go to the polls, as he says that at the end of the process, nothing will be compared on the general performance.
We are working with the Western ECOWAS, we are working with AU, so we are covering a reasonable ground. And I believe at the end of the day, the elections will be successful. Wish Nigeria well. Coming to us because of we can make a formal statement.
A former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Olumide Akpata, is one of those eyeing the #1 seat in Edo State and has declared his intention to join the Labour Party, the LP, to win the governorship ticket. Now, the senior advocate explains that the Labour Party had received him warmly into the party, and he is hopeful that he would win the governorship election in Edo State come 2024.
My interest is for the people of Edo State. And what I find in politics and governance in Nigeria today is that the people have been taken out of the equation. Nobody seems to care about the people. And when I looked around, the only political party that I found to be people-centric, people-oriented, to be interested in the lot of our people is the Labour Party of Nigeria. And it is therefore fitting and opposite that it is with this party that I have come to pitch my tent. And it is on the platform of this party that I would like to run for governor of Edo State. And as Mr. Chairman has already informed you, he has indicated indicated to me that this ambition, this aspiration is welcome to the party, and for that I am most grateful. And I have promised him that in the event that the party does decide to accord me with the status that I so seek, I will be sure to fly the flag of the party high and to ensure that Labour Party continues to triumph. The people are with Labour. Labour is with the people. And together, Labour Party will do well.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says efforts to reshape Nigeria and address societal ills plaguing the female gender require active participation of women. The First Lady spoke during the visit of the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, who led senior female police officers on the courtesy visit to her office at the State House in Abuja. She noted the fact that a large number of women are actively involved in policing and securing the country, adding that the current administration of President Bola Tinubu has given more room to women to contribute their own quota to national development. She highlights, and I quote, "It is the beginning of a new dawn for women in the country, as the current administration will give women more room to contribute their quota. I am also looking for ways to contribute. We cannot have a Nigeria without people doing new and great things." Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu charged them to lead the action in addressing some of the ills in society, such as rape, child abuse, human trafficking, and proliferation of baby factories that affect them the most in society, as she looks forward to a day when a female will become the nation's Inspector General of Police. Let's head to Enugu State, where the State House of Assembly has approved the request of the State Governor, Peter Mbah, to source for 170 billion naira facility to fund capital projects, among others, in the state. Now, the lawmakers who unanimously approved the request for the Peter Mbah administration say it would enable the government to deliver on its mandate, especially in the provision of critical infrastructure needed to attract investment into the state. While Assembly members also expressed their delight that the loan would run its full course in the first tenure of the governor, the breakdown of the request shows a 100 billion naira bank guarantee line in 10 billion naira term loan, a 10 billion naira overdraft facility, and a 50 billion naira for credit facility. Now, the Enugu State Governor Peter Mbah of the People's Democratic Party, of course, is of the People's Democratic Party, while the State Assembly is indeed dominated by the Labour Party. Right, for more on this, we're being joined by the Secretary to the Government of Enugu State, Professor Chidiebere Onya. Thank you for joining us on the program Lunchtime Politics.
Because as long as you do not have certainty around pricing and who is going to pay for that difference, no one will put his money.
All right, let's get into it. The State House of Assembly has approved the request of your governor, that's the State Governor, Peter Mbah, to source for 170 billion naira facility to fund capital projects, among others. How are these funds sourced for, or is it locally or even outside our shores?
As we stand at the crossroads of energy transition and calls for greener sources of energy, it is imperative that we come together to chart a new course in view of the fact that the deregulation of the petroleum industry and promotion of gas utilization are not merely policy changes.
However, the labor unions have suggestions on how to cushion the impact of subsidy removal.
Recent policy direction by the government has placed untold hardship on Nigerians, chief of which is the PMS subsidy removal and the floating of the naira dollar.
All right, Professor Chidiebere Onya, if you can hear me, of course, we were talking about the approval from the State House of Assembly in Enugu State for the state governor to source for 170 billion naira facility to fund capital projects. How are these funds going to be sourced for? Is it locally or outside our shores?
The funds will be sourced locally to address the governor's infrastructure promises made to Enugu. And I think what is important is that a closer look at the fund structure will let you know that this is carefully thought through to help in delivering His Excellency's mandate. You recall when he came into power, he said he was going to adopt a more creative approach to funding infrastructure projects that are in line with his promise to Tinubu. The whole idea of this facility, especially the first one, the 100 billion as a bank guarantee line, is to provide comfort for the contractors that are going to address this massive infrastructure development. And it's important to also note that since this administration started, since Dr. Peter Mbah came into power, that he's been very intentional about plugging all the revenue opportunities we have where we used to have leakages, and plugging them to ensure that we increase our local internally generated revenue. And a perfect example would be what we have now. Initially, on assumption of office, it was close to 2 billion, but right now, in 150-ish days after, we're between 4.2 and 4.3 billion. This is just on the IGR side. There are other things he's doing, looking at Enugu State from the model that Enugu State is not a poor state. Enugu State has a lot of potential assets that have been redundant or moribund. He's bringing all that creativity around the infrastructure space and around raising capital. But it's also important to note that the financial model His Excellency set out to help support the massive infrastructure promises he made and hope to intentionally actualize by each timeline he had given to Tinubu requires that he sits back and thinks with his team on the creative ways to raise capital. You do notice that on the 1st of September, we went out to market to be able to show the pipeline of projects. Since then, we've been having this type of commitment from financial institutions, knowing that Enugu State is in the path of bankability. And right now, if you look at what he set out to do with this project, real infrastructure that have economic value, not ones that are motivated by political considerations, but each of the things His Excellency set out to do with this facility. Remember, again, the 100 billion is a guarantee, as a bank guarantee line, not a loan. And it has, we're looking at a 36 months crystallization window, at which point it becomes something that we have to consider an obligation to the state. But it's to give vendors comfort, those that are coming to the space, as we build that relationship where they understand clearly that this government is approaching infrastructure and financing of it from a different trajectory. We're not waiting for the FAC allocation, which, if you look at what His Excellency has promised, which is close to a 2 trillion naira capital investment into infrastructure, you will know from your experience that you can fund it with the FAC. So he's come out with creative ways using our premium asset, our land base, and some other opportunities in the state. And financial institutions are beginning to see the credibility of the person that is in leadership in Enugu State in supporting with these facilities to be able to deliver on his promises to Enugu. So it's
all
not
right, Professor
just
Anya.
business.
Yeah, Professor Anya, you've spoken extensively, but looking at the debt records, the state is already in a debt of about 93 billion naira as of June this year. Why is that, should I say, why then are you adding more to that debt, if I may ask you?
So remember, I explained to you that the 100 billion is a bank guarantee line. But more important, remember again that I said that the areas that we are focusing our financial model around are things that will start generating revenue right now. Whatever has happened in the past is the financial model of those that were there before. But this governor is determined that every single facility we'll get is one that will help us crowd in revenue, also provide an enabling environment for private investors to come into Enugu, and especially with his outlook towards infrastructure to be able to do it. So it's not in looking back asking, but the question will be for us to meet the growth trajectory, the infrastructure growth, are we going to depend on fact, look at what happened in the past, or look at a model that helps us grow our economy quickly so these things are not an encumbrance on our growth? So
How about
remember
the
also...
How about the state?
Go ahead.
How about the revenue? Talking about revenue potentials within the state, is the administration not looking into that? I mean, ways of getting resources to generate within the state.
So do recall when I started my opening statement, I spoke of His Excellency's approach, where we now have started digitizing and digitalizing our revenue processes and model to plug in those areas that formerly were areas where we could lose revenue. And an example is about 150 days plus in office. He's able to move our revenue from what it was when he came here, about 2 billion to 4.2 to 4.3 billion in those number of days. And remember, we're still at the early stages of being able to plug in this. He's also looking at raising capital, raising revenue from our asset base. I mean, our land, the investment opportunities, the new entrants coming in, potential tax opportunities. There's a lot that he's putting in place to make sure that our revenue internally, reflects the growth that he sees our economy, Enugu State economy, having the potential to deliver. So it's not that we're sitting down looking at, monies from financial institutions. No, we are creating an enabling environment where these funds become the catalyst for the type of growth he's promised in the Enugu, and making Enugu a model, not just in Nigeria, but globally, where you could come back and see best practices about infrastructure development, catalyzing investment, and reducing our poverty headcount to zero. Those were the things he promised in the Enugu, and for him to do it, he has to apply a level of creativity that was not originally known, in the way things were managed in the state. That's why you see a few of these things happening. They're not the norm, and that's why we need to continue to break it down and explain what His Excellency's approach to infrastructure development is in Enugu State.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Professor Chidiebere Onya, the Secretary to the Governor or the Government of Enugu State, we thank you so much for your thoughts on the program Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has pleaded with his Labour Party and the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP counterparts, Peter Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso, to join him in the quest to unseat President Bola Tinubu. Now, Atiku made the call specifically to speak on the issues surrounding President Bola Tinubu's academic records. He particularly called on Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Rabiu Kwankwaso of the NNPP and the leaders of every political party in Nigeria, and indeed every single person who loves this country and who wishes nothing but the best for the country, to join in what he calls a campaign to enshrine probity, accountability, and the basic principles of justice, morality, and uprightness in the country and in government. Now, the Chicago State University on Monday released the academic records of President Bola Tinubu to Atiku Abubakar. So we're now being joined in the studio to take this discussion a bit further. And of course, we have the Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Mr. Abayomi Arabambi. Thank you for joining us on the program Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, it's great to have you again. So let's look at the situation on the ground. First of all, what are your thoughts concerning this latest situation, and of course the call from the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar?
Well, I think first of all, as a member of the opposition political party, I want to make something very clear to the MBC. concerning their letters that they wrote to your sister station, that we are against it because Nigeria is not a banana republic, and the edit that set them up actually is lower than that of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Whoever here, they could revert back to the Constitution of Nigeria. I mean, the criminal code about whosoever that is trying to levy war, against the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not for you to now visit that scene of an individual on the media house, upon which he made, such an allusion. So for us in Labour Party, we want to make it clear to them that we will not want, even though those people are members, we will not want a situation whereby, they will now be presenting the administration as gagging the press. To the lawyer, I think the two of them are lawyers, they can petition them before the Nigerian police, if they have insulted the office of the president or they are making certain comments. Though they didn't write to you, but we are making it very clear that this is a sane society where nobody should just wake up, on your own rule. You must look at the Constitution. They infracted against the Constitution of Nigeria, by saying things, demeaning the position of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, accusing the National Assembly without fact and proof, accusing the president, calling the president all manner of name. We are against that. But I think NBC should rather focus more on the constitutional aspect, not on their own regulation, because their own regulation to Constitution of Nigeria is inferior to Constitution of Nigeria. So I want to advise them, not that we are supporting anybody, but we would just want to advise them that they should not be, harassing media houses, because this is the only arena for us to hear our views. We are not part of APC administration. We are just Nigerian, but whoever abuses the president, they have the duty, they can petition the police, concerning infraction by the person. So the police will have their, we have to charge the person for treason felony. That, I want to sound that to NBC so that they will know all of us we're on the same page. But we are against anyone coming on here to malign, the president without fact and proof, the Chief Justice, or even the National Assembly. These are the people, these are respected men, distinguished men and women that make law for us. And the Chief Justice of Nigeria is also doing a best, and the president, until when his election is set aside, nobody has the right to come on there and, and call him a criminal or a forger, or, all manner of things. But NBC should please look into the necessary section of the Constitution and write a petition against those people to the police, so that they can now be charged for treason felony. Let them go and face their mistake. But we don't want them to be writing to, media houses, threatening them. You are going to ban them. You are going to close them. No, we are averse, to that. That one is settled. Now, regarding the issues between Alhaji Atiku and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think it is clear from the Electoral Act and the rule of the Supreme Court. If you are into a normal court, in Supreme Court, you have 5 judges. From the Court of Appeal, you have 3. But this is a special court called Election Petition Tribunal that is sui generis. It is time-bound. The judgment made regarding the President Election Tribunal at the Court of Appeal, the Court of First Instance, they were very clear about even why Labour Party evidences were thrown out, because the judges told them that we expected you to fight this, your evidences, with your petition. Not that after the 21 days you now be bringing in, further documents. I want to state clearly that from what we read in that disposition, it was Kalu, that was alleging the president that from their own perspective, they found out that, President Bola Tinubu forged the certificate. But no, that wasn't what that disposition says. Because
what did the disposition say?
The disposition says, they asked the man, have you seen this? He said no, they were not the one that issued it, but they have a third party. After 2 years, they said they don't give diploma. That is a ceremonial something, but if any other person now requested for it, they have third party, maybe that is how it is sustainable there. But I know in Nigeria, even if it's 10 years, you must apply to that school. They will give you, a certified copy of, the original certificate that you love. But they said they have a third party. Now, the one given by the president was what was submitted. But the most unfortunate thing is this.
Given by the Chicago State University or?
No, the one given by the third party.
The third party, okay.
Tinubu has deported an affidavit something that he lost his certificate. He now applied. Somebody that graduated from 1979. It's a very long year, but the school was very, very categorical that he graduated because they sent the transcript, which even the Atiku team has not been able to control up to today. They sent the transcript that, he graduated. But the issue was, look at this certificate. Oh, we don't know about this, but third party, anybody after 2 years normally apply to third party that it's a ceremonial certificate, they don't keep it. Now, the issue before the Supreme Court is very clear. Section 137 of the Evidence Act, when you allege, you have to prove it. The body of proof line on Atiku. And in the judgment of the election petition at the Court of Appeal, they threw some evidences away on the fact that the man that was supposed to come and give evidence, look at in the Adeleke and Oyetola, they alleged the governor Adeleke that, his certificate was forged. But the Supreme Court said, no, we will disagree with you. The man that brought the certificate is neither an employee of that school, nor the principal. That you ought to have come here with the principal of that school to come and verify, is this thing correct or not? Now, the third party that did this thing for President Tinubu, do you know that we don't know them up to today? Even the registrar did not. They only say, they have 4 or 5, third party that normally issues. But, it's their country. We cannot query how they operate. But who is that third party that issued the certificate to President Bola Tinubu?
So now, by the time this issue gets to the Supreme Court, of course, we're expecting the PDP candidate, to bring these evidences or some of his findings, but
no, he has filed his brief. Do you know he has filed it?
Exactly. Okay.
He has filed it, but he's out of time.
But the thing is, for the Labour Party and perhaps the NNPP, do you think they would definitely, or especially for the Labour Party, will they buy into this? I mean, he has called, the PDP candidate has called for the other parties to join him in this fight. What's your reaction to that?
Well, for us, ab initio, we've been saying it that our presidential candidate is a stooge of the PDP right from the day one. When when the president governor of Anambra, told us that we are not going nowhere, we thought, he was joking. But at the end of the day, we now found out that, that was the real deal. Now, asking your fellow man who has a petition before the tribunal, even though Obi miscalculated with his team of lawyers, not to have even tabulated, his result. Because when you say, I came first, Atiku was not first involved in his own petition. He was supposed to have even joined Atiku and the APC in his petition. Because you came third, but you must prove to the court that even your vote is more than that of Atiku. Then your vote is more than that of President Tinubu.
Yeah,
but
we'll definitely have left you.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe, immediately after the election, you see our former Nigerian chairman, he ran to Dr. Yoshayu. They were doing a job press conference. That way, we now began to suspect them that, so this guy just thinks...
Oh, we'll definitely have to come to. We'll have to cut it. We have to cut it out now, definitely. We have to end it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Bayami Arabambi, for your thoughts on the program. We'll draw it a curtain on the program, Lunchtime Politics. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.